Wow. That's a lot to live up to. Thank you so much for coming out today. I really, really appreciate everything that your community leaders have shared with you today, so give them a round of applause, please. I also want to recognize that we have two planning commissioners in our midst, in addition to Terry and myself. Commissioner Apple and Commissioner Catton are here today. Thank you so much for joining us. So, you learned a little bit about me even before I came up to the mic. I think I want to share a few things through the lens of three things, the three things that really make me tick: science, community service, and Benicia. We'll start with science because that's the tough one. I love science. I went back to school when my son Joe was just starting his soccer career and made my husband James take him to all the games on the weekends, and I went back to school and I got my Master's of Science in Environmental Management. I knew that science is important to our future. And, you know, if they want to label me an environmentalist again, go right ahead. I think everybody should be an environmentalist. If you don't take care of our Earth and it's not a priority, what is your priority? What is your priority other than saving our future? Placing greed, personal greed above, you know, our future? That's why I think that all of us here and anybody that knows me knows that addressing climate change is a serious matter. Science, I want to talk about climate change, and I want to talk about leadership during the pandemic and the fact that we did not have federal leadership that took the virus seriously and didn't believe in science, and 1 million people died because of it. We didn't need to lose that many people. Had we had proper leadership and had we had an engaged community, nation, I don't think that we would have, you know, had Trump for those years. And I'm so glad that we have better leadership and people running our federal government that believe in science. I believe that climate change is real. I believe that we're now feeling the effects of climate change. I believe that it's human caused, and I believe it's going to be solved by humans too. Everything we do, especially our leaders, has to be seen through that lens. And I'm feeling good about what the Biden administration is trying to do. Maybe in the midterm elections we'll get more folks that believe in science elected and get some real change, real actions taking place soon. All right, so that's my somber science talk. Now let's talk about community service. You've heard from our community leaders up here that I take community service very, very seriously. Since Joey there was in diapers and his older sister was in kindergarten, I stepped up and I served on their Matthew Turner elementary school PTA with my friend Rhonda out there, and you know, served many years. Took the biggest fundraiser they had for the PTA. Before our team got in there, they were making, they net about $30,000 a year, which did good things for our school. We got in there, we turned it into $100 grand a year. We put whiteboards in each classroom. We got teachers their own laptops. We put a new playground in the first new playground that our elementary schools had seen in a long time. We got it done because when I volunteer, it's not like I volunteer a lot of times with my friends, but it's not to make friends, it's not to socialize. When I volunteer and serve my community, I want to get stuff done. And I've been doing that. Joe's 19 now, and I've been doing that for the 20 years that we've been here. So running for city council is an extension of that. It's a volunteer position. You don't get paid. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of trolls out there. Why would I put myself through this unless I feel like this, this is the next step in my evolution of community service. But it can't just be our mayor and the city council people, and the most of you have stepped up and volunteered in one way or another. We need a diversity of voices and a diversity of perspectives on every level, on the Arts and Culture Commission, on every commission that the city has. The non-profits in our community need your help. If we don't step up and serve our community, then only the people that are driven by self-interest will make the decisions for us. And we need people that think outside of their personal gain and profit. And I feel like you're here because you're that type of person, and thank you very much for showing up and doing the volunteer work that you do. I'm looking around, most everybody here I know I volunteered in some capacity with, so thank you for your service as well. Okay, so the last thing that makes me tick is Benicia. I love Benicia. I love raising my family in Benicia. My heart swells with pride when I come downtown and see it bustling, and the restaurants full, and the galleries full, and that just warms my heart. And we need to keep Benicia special. We need to understand and think about the future of Benicia. And that means making some tough decisions. There's a list of things that I wanna talk about. I wanna talk about the rich history that we have here, the culture that we have here. We have to save our history, and and that means supporting the Benicia Historical Society and Museum. That means making sure that areas that should be saved, that have cultural significance, that we recognize that before we build or exploit those areas the ways they shouldn't be exploited. We need to understand our history and honor it. Open spaces. There's a lot of talk right now about our affordable housing, and I will get into that because I do know a thing or two, being on the planning commission, of what we've done for looking forward to doing on housing and including affordable housing, but not at the expense of our open spaces. Our open spaces attracted so many of us. I know it attracted my family here. So in the fall, what was known as Measure K, I don't know what it's going to be this time, but we have to extend Measure K for the next 10 years. You'll be able to ensure that our open spaces out there at Sky Valley, in between us and Vallejo, ensure that those beautiful hills are preserved, and that there's going to be a lot of need for housing, and we want to ensure that that area stays the way it is, open and a peace of mind when you drive by there. Bob Berman, thank you for your service on that. Arts Benicia and our arts community. Nikki said it, you know, I'm a big fan of our artists in town. Vicki Dennis, I have your yard signs for Terry Scott and Mayor Young in my garage, and I'm going to put them to good use as many times as I need to. So, you know, artists need to be able to have room to create, and they need to be supported, and I intend to make those a priority if I'm elected for City Council. I talked a little bit about downtown and what, you know, how proud it all makes me feel, but you know, the industrial park is an important part of our community as well. We have to ensure that they have safe roads out there. We have to ensure that we get a diverse set of businesses out there. And, you know, Steve and I have done a little bit of that in making sure that cannabis was, the business of cannabis was legalized in our community, and pretty soon we'll be figuring out just what that's bringing into our community money-wise. And I'm really proud of that work, and I think we need to make a priority of diversifying our economic base here in Benicia. We cannot rely on Valero for 1/3 of our city budget.
Less? No, what? 12?
So it's 1/8.
1/8 of our city budget. So attracting the businesses that will be good neighbors. Renewable energy is just exploding right now. Why don't we make room for those clean companies? You know, in 13 years, in 2035, Californians will not be able to buy fossil-fueled vehicles. And that means that we're not going to need, go ahead, yes. That, state leadership, yes, made that happen. We have strong climate action goals at the state level. We need to realize those here in our community as well. So what does that mean when we're reliant on Valero as, you know, a big contributor to our economic base here? That means that we need to bring other big companies in that will be better neighbors. You know, Supervisor Brown says, you know, why does Valero have this big chip on their shoulder about Kari? Why are they always going after Kari? It's because I'm going to speak truth to power, and I'm not going to let them lie to us. In 2018, when I was running, you know, there was talk of an industrial safety ordinance, and that meant better oversight of the refinery. That meant regular meetings. That meant, you know, better communication, not just through the fire chief or the mayor, but a citizens board that can provide oversight and ensure that our air quality is being monitored. You know, it shouldn't be up to Constance to get, you know, all of her friends and people that we know to put on our own air monitoring apparatus on our houses. It should be at every school, you know, anywhere there's sensitive populations. That's where those air monitors need to be. But that means that's money, and that means that's knowledge. And I don't think that they want us to have that. So that's why I'm scary. Little old me, I'm not going to run a refinery out of town, but I'm going to hold them accountable. And you know, I mean, lying to us for 13 years, that didn't feel good. They said, trust us, and then they, you know, exceeded all kinds of emissions limits when, you know, and we wonder why we have high cancer rates, high asthma rates. It's not a coincidence. And so these things are what we need to talk about. And if you elect me to City Council, I'll have that conversation wherever we need to have it. So thank you for showing up today, my strongest advocates. It's a lovely day. We couldn't have done this without you. I wanna call out specifically folks, that anybody that has my 2018 button on that says Birdseye for Benicia, they're on my campaign team, and I couldn't have done this alone. We met, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 times putting this together. Tom Bilbo, who's live streaming and filming right now. Thank you, Tom. Jack Kolk is on right there. He's our tech guru. There's so many more of you. Terry, thank you so much for emceeing today and helping put this together. Really, I just showed up. I was supposed to bring paper plates or paper cups, and I forgot to do that, so Jack ran across the street. So it's a real team effort, and if you want me elected in November, of course I need your vote, but I also need your support in so many ways, because it's, we have a limit of voluntary campaign finance limit of less than $40,000 per candidate. That doesn't go very far when you have $250,000 saying lies and about you. So I didn't run last time. I didn't run in 2020. I'm glad we have the mayor that we have today. Together, we'll really get a lot done if I'm elected. So thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to connecting with all of you. Thank you.